is possible to become free from debt, financial worry, your boss, and your zip code. You can start living a life you love, but first, you need to find your freedom. Using financial independence and lifestyle design principles, you can create the life of your dreams now. There are many paths to freedom, and that is what this podcast is all about. My name is Becky from 20free.co, and I am the host of the Find Your Freedom podcast. Want to achieve your goals without having to budget? It's possible with a spending plan. In this episode, I'm going to explain how a spending plan is different from and better than a budget, reasons to create and follow a spending plan, the 6 steps to create your spending plan, and my top tips for using your spending plan successfully. Outside of the personal finance world, the B word is a dirty word. I mean budget. When someone says you should budget, you probably think about eating a bland peanut butter sandwich every day for lunch, having to shamefully text your friends that, no, you can't go for drinks after work because you're on a budget, and angry people glaring at you from the line in the grocery store as you break out your ginormous coupon binder. The good news is you don't have to budget to reach your financial goals. A budget gives you cold sweats and a knot in your stomach because it raises feelings of deprivation and sacrifice. Throw that out the window. Money is meant to help you achieve your goals and live your life the way you want. Sure, money should allow you to survive, but it can also enable you to thrive. There is no point in sacrificing the opportunities to have fun, be spontaneous, and enjoy life in your 20s just to save a couple bucks. At the same time, there's no reason to go blowing your money on things that don't truly align with your goals for your life. If that latte, smartwatch, or overpriced cocktail don't propel you towards reaching your personal, financial, or life goals, you shouldn't buy them. In the end, being free from the weight of student debt, putting a down payment on a house, financing your own business, or funding your passion for world travel is going to mean a lot more to you than any consumable or object that you purchase on a whim. So how do you balance fun now and wealth later? This is where a spending plan fits in. A spending plan gives you a framework for how and where to spend your money in order to achieve your goals and live your life in alignment with your values. I'll give you the top 2 reasons to create and follow a spending plan. First, a spending plan gives you permission to spend your money where it matters most. Balancing now and later, fun and future, immediate and delayed gratification without guilt, deprivation, or regret, that is what a spending plan is all about. Flip the script of being deprived or making sacrifices due to your budget. With a spending plan, you are allowing yourself to put money towards your hobbies and passions now, while also creating a plan for contributing to your savings goals, paying down your debt, or investing for the future. Second, you can't frugal your way to being rich. However, reducing the amount of money that you need to spend in order to live will help you save faster and will help you save more for the rest of your life. Saving money is just one side of that income and expenses coin. To create wealth, you need to both increase your income and manage your expenses. Are you ready to make your own spending plan? Let's get to the 6 actionable steps to creating a spending plan. Step 1, name your known expenses. You know, all of those things that make up the survive part of survive and thrive. What do you already pay for, and how much does it cost? Keep an open mind about these expenses because they might not make the final cut into your spending plan, or at least they might not be as large of an expense as you originally thought. Known expenses might include housing, transportation, groceries, clothing, or household items. Step 2, define your goals. Here comes the thrive part of survive and thrive. Figure out what you want to achieve this year, and it will be a piece of cake to figure out what you want your money to do for you this year. This should include what you might think of as savings goals. After all, you do spend your money by paying off debt, investing, or creating an emergency fund, since once that money is allocated, it can't be used for a different purpose. Do you want to pay off your debt? Do you want to fill your belly with delicious food and beer? Do you want to have outdoor adventures with friends and family? Do you want to learn a language or sport or skill? Defining your goals will give you the rest of your spending plan categories, which may include things like vacation savings, enjoying life, investing, dining, alcohol, student loans, sports, or education. Step 3. Reflect on your values. Put your money where your mouth is the main idea here. Take the spending plan categories that you've just defined based on your known expenses and your goals and see if they align with your values. Order the categories from most aligned with your values to least aligned with your values. For example, if you value experiences over objects, your experiential category would be higher on the list than your objects category. If you value giving to charity more than your car payment, put giving higher than automotive. Step 4. Know your income. Before you can start putting dollar amounts in your spending categories, you have to know how much money you have to allocate. If you have a salaried job where each paycheck is the same, look at your last paycheck and calculate your after-tax take-home pay, or net income. If you have an hourly job, it might be easier to estimate this based on last year's income. This is easy if you filed taxes last year. Just look at your income after you paid taxes. It gets a little trickier if you have a variable income, such as if you are self-employed. In this case, try to estimate your average income based on your past experience. We'll call this income your spending money. Step 5. Split it up. Now, you can start allocating your spending money into different spending plan categories. Remember, you are giving yourself permission to spend your money on these things. Yes, even drinks at the bar, books, or massages if that's your thing. Don't feel guilty. You've defined what you value and how your money can help you achieve your goals. Now, you just have to split it up accordingly. There are 2 ways you can do this: by knowing the amount you'd like to spend monthly on a category and then multiplying that amount by 12, or knowing the amount you'd like to spend yearly on a category. I like to know both my monthly and yearly allocation, so my spending plan includes a column for both amounts. This makes it easier to have a quick view of whether my spending has gone to plan for each month. I recommend beginning to allocate money to each category starting at the top of your list. Those are the categories that should have the highest amount of spending anticipated. So, what happens when you've allocated all of your spending money and there's still categories with no dollars at all? Well, you've essentially determined that the categories with money in them are more important than the categories without, which brings us to the next step. Step 6. Shift money around. What do you do when there are categories left over with no spending money in them? Shift money around, of course. If a category is a non-negotiable, like food, you're just going to have to find the money somewhere. Also, maybe it should be slightly higher on your list. I'm just saying. If the category is completely negotiable, consider cutting it from your spending plan altogether. And be sure to question whether certain categories are really non-negotiable. Ask yourself the following questions. If you can answer yes to both of the first 2, it's time to axe that line item from your spending plan. 1. Will I survive if I don't spend any money in this category this year? Hint, if the category is food, probably not. If the answer to the question above is probably not, but the category is still quite low on the list, look into ways of decreasing this expense. For food, you could shop at a discount grocer and cook exclusively at home. For rent, you could get a roommate or 4, or move back in with your parents. Remind yourself why the other categories are more important to you, and this will improve your resolve to figure out a way to make these expenditures as low as possible. 2. Will I realistically not spend money in this category? If you're trying to quit spending money on something that you buy every day, like your morning coffee, I don't recommend doing it cold turkey. You've realized that lattes aren't a high priority for you, or that you could make coffee at home for free. Following a spending plan is kind of like dieting for your money. If you cut out all of the foods that you like to eat suddenly and don't allow any cheat meals, it's likely that you will revert to your old habits. Build in some wiggle room in your spending plan in order to avoid guilt over occasional purchases that may lead to throwing out the whole spending plan for the rest of the year. On the other hand, if the spending in a category is due to a subscription service, such as Hulu, Netflix, or Amazon Prime, You can cancel it right away and boom, guaranteed you will not spend any more money in that category. 3. Like it or not, do I have to spend money in this category? There may be fixed expenses that you know you will have to spend money on, like it or not. If you don't like it, your only option is to try to reduce spending in those categories as much as possible. I personally track my spending in categories that I don't have a set amount of money allocated towards, like junk food or shipping. This is because I know that they are likely to be occasional expenditures, but I want to limit them as much as possible. An integral part of this is not giving myself permission to spend money on them while also being realistic about the fact that occasionally I will have to spend small amounts of money on them. The final step. Now you know the basics of making a spending plan that is unique to you and your financial situation. The last and most important step in this process is actually sitting down and creating your spending plan. Don't wait until next year. Do it now. Don't wait until you have a certain income, savings, or investments. The plan will accelerate your path to those destinations. Don't wait until you're debt-free. The plan will help you get there. Don't wait for the right time. It doesn't exist. Create your first spending plan now. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I can tell you it won't be. I've been doing this for years, and I learn something new every year. Accept the fact that creating your very first spending plan is going to be a process of trial and error. Life is a process of trial and error. Now that you know how to create a spending plan, here are my top 5 tips for using it. These can help you whether you are creating a new spending plan, converting your budget to a spending plan, or updating your spending plan for a new year. Tip 1. Don't make your plan too complicated. Simplicity is the key to creating systems that stick. Having a simple and straightforward spending plan that is as easy as possible to track will help you stick with it. When you're reviewing your spending plan for the month or the quarter, notice the things that make the review process unnecessarily complicated. Then think of a few ways to eliminate that complication and simplify your plan. Make one of those changes and see if it works. If not, you can switch to another strategy next month or next year. Don't be too hard on yourself if you have made your plan too complicated in the past. Your spending plan is a tool to help you, and you can always make changes when you learn lessons about how it works best for you. Simplicity is the key to sticking to your plan, so know that any simplifying changes you make to your spending plan are going to have significant positive impacts on your finances as a whole. Tip 2. Plan for the bad. Your spending plan needs to be flexible to allow you to roll with the punches when life doesn't go the way you expected it to. Sometimes, maybe even oftentimes, you will overspend in some category or another. Let me tell you a secret. I overspend in multiple categories of my spending plan every month. And that's okay because I roll with the punches. This means that when you overspend in one category, you can compensate by lowering your monthly budget for that category the next month. Or determine if you can compensate based on a category that you underspent in during that month. Again, a spending plan is not supposed to be the source of immense stress. It's supposed to act as a guideline that helps you spend your money in accordance with your values. For example, I spent 2 weeks in the hospital in late 2016, and you know what that means? Massive medical bills. I paid thousands for medical costs that were billed up to a year after they were actually incurred. I was able to roll with it because I anticipated these extra expenses and could tweak a little here and there to make my spending plan accommodate this unusually high spending in the health category. Take a few minutes to imagine what you'd do if a massive, unexpected bill comes your way. Imagine you need expensive mechanical work done on your car. Figure out where you would shuffle money around in your budget. Which categories could you spend less in for a few months to pay for this unexpected expense? For example, you could pull money from one category, like dining out or entertainment, and put it towards automotive. This flexibility might mean that you're cooking at home more this month, or doing free activities instead of paying for tickets to events. But it also means that you're getting things done and covering unexpected expenses without totally wrecking your plan. Tip 3. Also plan for the good. Not everything unexpected is bad. Put a plan in place for happy surprises, like extra income or cash windfalls. Do you have a plan for when good things happen out of the blue? What if you get a raise or win the lottery? Having a clear vision of where that money will go is going to take some pressure off you as well. I realized the importance of this when something even bigger than the hospital visit happened that I didn't plan for. I made more money than I expected to in 2017. I've realized that an important part of a spending plan, in combination with an overall financial plan, is to decide the purpose of extra income before it comes in. I did a poor job of setting savings goals at the beginning of that year, mostly because I wasn't planning on paying off my loan so quickly or being able to save my emergency fund that year. That year, I had already decided that I would divert all of my extra income to student loans. However, after the high-interest student loans were paid off, I had to plan on the fly. I decided that my extra income would go towards saving my $10,000 emergency fund before I started to invest. Now, in case of more emergency medical expenses, I have the peace of mind provided by my emergency fund. Take a few minutes to imagine what you'd like to do with any extra money that comes your way. Do a mental exercise where your boss calls you into her office to give you an unexpected raise. All of a sudden, you have an extra $500 every month. You want to make sure that you're putting that towards something that will help you achieve your ideal life, rather than just spending it on clothes or a big celebratory dinner, unless you've consciously decided that those activities are in alignment with your values. Then think about the ways that your budget could become more flexible to accommodate additional income. Basically, create a backup plan for the good things that happen unexpectedly. Since I achieved my high-interest student loan payoff and saving my emergency fund in 1 year, I did this mental exercise and decided that all extra income, regardless of the amount, will go towards investing. That way, when I get a tax return or a bonus, I know exactly where it's going to go, directly into my investment account. Tip 4. Give yourself some time and freedom. Give yourself some time to shuffle things out, some freedom to try new allocations, and in general, some flexibility to tweak your spending plan when it needs it. Remember, you are giving yourself permission to spend money on the things that matter most to you. These things can shift, morph, and eventually change. Be flexible. Sometimes things just need to get moved around a bit until they click into place. It took me about 2 years to iron out my spending plan, with monthly tweaks until it really fit my goals, values, and lifestyle. And still, I'm changing it all the time. Be gentle with yourself, because this is a long-term game and an ever-evolving process. Your spending plan is not going to be perfect overnight. Also, give yourself the grace to change. Having the freedom to adjust your spending plan to support new goals or interests is an incredible gift to yourself. This is how you move towards living a life you love. Your mindset is essential when it comes to this. Accept that your spending plan won't become perfectly suited to your lifestyle and goals overnight, and be willing to change it when necessary. It's important to remember that you're in control of your spending plan, and you should use it as a roadmap. Your spending plan doesn't determine how you live your life. Rather, how you want to live your life should determine your spending plan. That is freedom. Tip 5. Be honest with yourself. It's important to be honest with yourself when you compare your spending to your spending plan at the end of each month. Sometimes it's not all good news. Sometimes not all your spending goes according to plan, and that's okay. Being honest with yourself doesn't mean being hard on yourself. This spending plan is supposed to be a guideline for how to spend your money in alignment with your goals and dreams. By being honest, you can course correct and start moving in the right direction with your spending again. It's also perfectly okay and perfectly necessary to be honest when what you want in life changes. When what you want changes, how you spend your money will also change. You aren't locked into the way that things were last year or last month. As you grow, so should your spending plan. Remember, it's a tool, not a prison. Your spending plan should give you freedom, not lock you down and keep you from doing the things that you really want to do. Be honest, but be kind to yourself. When you're reviewing your spending plan for the month and you see some overspending, acknowledge it and adjust for it. All you can do is do better next month. Keeping yourself in the dark or staying in denial will not help. Frequently consider your goals and desires in life and recognize when they've changed or evolved. This is okay. It's a natural part of life. You don't have to stay the same just because your spending plan is designed a certain way. When you decide you want something different, accept that and change your budget to reflect this decision. Then smile, because your spending plan is working exactly like it's supposed to. It's helping you live in alignment with your values and goals. Those are my top 5 tips for using your spending plan successfully. The more simple and more flexible your spending plan is, the better. Simplicity in your budget will ensure that you stick to it, and flexibility gives you peace of mind when the unexpected, good or bad, happens. Remember, the whole point of a spending plan is to make life easier. That means making it easy to track and understand your finances, easy to live and spend in alignment with your values and goals, and easy to adapt to changing situations and desires in a stress-free way. I encourage you to harness this powerful financial tool. Your life will be better for it. It will help you live and spend in accordance with your values, priorities, and goals. It will help you enjoy your life to the fullest, while at the same time pursuing financial freedom. You have what you need to get started right now. Don't delay. Create your spending plan today. Want a free spending plan spreadsheet to get you started? Head to the show notes where you can access the free spending plan spreadsheet and book a free 15-minute coaching call with me, where I'll answer your questions and help you build a plan that helps you achieve your goals. Check out the show notes for this episode at 20free.co/episode 31. That's the word 20, free.co/episode 31. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you're subscribed to the Find Your Freedom podcast on whatever app you're using to listen to this episode. Do me a favor and also leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Go to 20free.co/iTunes to be redirected to the page on Apple Podcasts where you can leave your rating and review. I really appreciate it. If you think this episode would help someone you know, please share it with a friend. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Find Your Freedom podcast. My name is Becky. You can connect with me on Instagram and Twitter at 20freeco and sign up for free resources and email updates at www.20free.co. That's the word 20, free.co. I'll talk to you next week on another episode of the Find Your Freedom podcast.